Welcome back, Astro listeners, to this New Year's edition of the Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Media Monk, and of course I have on the line my shining star of the Zodiac, Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hi, Media Monk.
And we all know Star Lady remains Kim Marie, the managing director for our Evolutionary Astrology Network. We still provide that finest EA course available today to certify astrologers, and yet we attract as many or more people just looking for that next level of soul growth in their lives. We're excited to kind of feature the complete 2022 forecast coming up Monday night, January 3rd at 6 to 8 p.m. Get your enrollment on an event newsletter landing in your inbox soon. And you can also get, after the live event, I'll have a PDF up on the forecasting webinars page of our website, so you can get all the information, audio files, video of the actual webinar recording, and all the PowerPoint slides for what's going to be an exciting new year in 2022. So with that, I'll turn it over to Star Lady and for today's forecast transits.
Thank you, Media Monk. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new year. Happy New Year to you. For those of you who like to do New Year's resolutions, this year will lend a lot more energy towards a little success. It is the Venus retrograde in Capricorn, which will have the Mercury retrograde in Capricorn right beside it. Mercury's retrograde January 14th through early February 3rd, Mercury direct. Venus goes retrograde. It did go retrograde late last month, late December, kind of pretty much standing on Pluto within a few degrees. Mercury's going to go retrograde in Aquarius, and it's going to go stationary direct, standing on Pluto within a few degrees. They both will make 3 conjunctions to Pluto during their retrograde cycles. So, as I've been saying, it lends a seriousness and practicality to the beginning of this year. And also, that good old Capricorn, what are my goals? It lends that energy towards heading into this year with strong intent and desire of what we want to create, regardless of what's going on with the planet, regardless of what's going on wherever you live, regardless of climate change, regardless of political situations. Where are you at the beginning of this year on an individual, personal level? How are you reflecting over this last year? And how are you setting your intents to go forward into 2022? Take a little bit of time with that and put some energy into these New Year's resolutions. In addition to that, this is our new moon podcast of Capricorn. So we are actually recording this on the new moon. The holidays and the new year just got away from us. We get a lot of family this time of the year, and I looked at Media Monk and I go, there's a new moon coming up, isn't there? That was yesterday, January 1st. And so here we are going, oh, geez, new moon for us too. Okay, maybe one of our New Year's resolutions, although I'm pretty good at it, is writing down a schedule of when we do the podcast. I don't know if I've done that for 2022 yet. There's one of my to-dos with all of this Capricorn energy. This new moon at Capricorn is about 12.5 degrees. And so we're just moving into those middle degrees of Capricorn. We'll have the moon catch up with Venus and Pluto over the next 24 hours. And then we'll have the sun catch up over the next couple of weeks. Sun will actually conjunct Venus January 8th. This is Venus retrograde over the sun. That'll take place at about 19 degrees Capricorn. And then sun will pass over Pluto just before the full moon of Cancer, Sun over Pluto, January 16th, 26.5 degrees Capricorn. So, again, all of that Capricorn energy brings a seriousness. It brings a maturation. It brings those situations possibly with career or family members. You know, just looking at it from the Capricorn perspective, what are your career goals over this year? You know, we've got what they call it this summer, the Great Resignation, because there's so much help wanted. Everybody who needs to or wants to change careers has been in process of doing that. Everyone's been putting a little energy into that moving forward. So career can be a part of this situation, but as we'll also see coming up a little later this month with that full moon of Cancer, familial situations come through as well. Here in the United States, as we all, most of us, I should say, participate in Christmas in some way, participate in New Year's in some way, it tends to involve a lot of family, especially as we had the break. So for Leroy and I, one more time, yes, there's been a bit of a family going on here. I think we're ready to almost get into our work rhythm again. So, all this Capricorn energy. I have a phrase in which I say ultimate freedom is ultimate self-responsibility. The more self-responsible we are, the more free we are, because we are taking care of ourselves in all the various ways possible, which then allows us the choice. Yes, no, this, not that, etc. Ponder this. What comes along with this new moon of Capricorn is on January 3rd, we have Jupiter square the nodal axis. And right now we have those nodes hanging out. North node Gemini, 1 degree. South node Sagittarius, 1 degree. Jupiter entered into Pisces December 28th for the next 5 months, and it'll make that exact square at 1 degree Pisces. This can add busybodiness to the situation. It's the, left brain, right brain. How are we all getting along? Okay, I got this big picture, but where am I with the details? It's Star Lady recognizing that there's got to be a new moon coming up, but not paying attention to when that new moon actually is. And then, poof, oh, here I am, scrambling to take care of another detail. So the nodes change into Taurus-Scorpio January 18th. So we've got, a good 2 weeks here in that last degree. It can seem to be increasing the pressure and the frenzy of all the details we have to do with the beginning of the year. Maybe details after having a little bit of holiday time, and now we've got to go back into Capricorn routines. Jupiter square the nodes is going to have an orb of influence yet for another few months. Even as the nodes reverse back into Taurus-Scorpio, we'll still be looking at Jupiter square. This is asking us to have a real deep reflection with what our beliefs are. Jupiter are those conscious beliefs. Jupiter entering Pisces, and it's going to have a conjunction with Neptune April 12th in latter degrees of Pisces. I think it's 24, 25 degrees Pisces, 24, yep, I remembered. And so this is also a time period then, in addition to this new moon goal-making, resolution-making, determining how you want your New Year's pattern to move through. This is also a time to be reflecting deeply. We have a Venus retrograde, values, in Capricorn. What do we value with the material world? How do we live synergistically with the material world? Jupiter will then ask, what do we value in that material world? Jupiter will also ask, what do we deeply consider to be of the most importance to us? Because whatever we value is where we put our energy. And our values have to be congruent with our beliefs. Just the most mundane example in the consensus world is if there's a value with materialism, there's a value with my, fancy new car or my, big house, then our belief systems are going to reflect that material world. It's about, believing that we can make it in that material world. Well, we all might need a house to live in, and hearts go out to Colorado. Media Monk and I have really been watching that because we have a lot of family there, and our families were all safe, but that's, we've had fire come pretty close to family members, so the one that happened 2 years ago did. As we expand in consciousness, though, those values become less and less materialistic, so those beliefs will then become congruent with valuing non-physical things, valuing time with family, valuing a walk in nature, valuing what's really important in the world. And so, again, as Jupiter enters Pisces, it really is asking us to do deep reflection on how our belief systems are evolving. And as it makes these squares to the final degree of the nodal axis in Gemini-Sag, it's asking us to prioritize those details in our world so we can take a deep breath and go, well, this is something I want to do, but this is not. We can have this nodal axis at the tail end here, having us feeling like we're all just running around, busybody, busybody, busybody. And Jupiter square the nodes is saying, you've got to take time for those deep reflections, and you've got to integrate those beliefs. And you have to be as honest as possible with yourself about your life, your world. So we have that deep Piscean energy that is coming in with all of these Capricorn, new moon goals and achievements and efforts to, survive in our world, but also to flourish on an inner level in our world as well. Now, as Venus makes its retrograde over the Sun at about 19 degrees Capricorn again, that's the halfway point of Venus retrograde. That's the aha moments of helping us understand what we value. In addition to that, though, Venus is going to make 3 waning sextiles to Neptune in Pisces. And, Capricorn, Pisces, Saturn, Neptune, the ultimate in physical and the ultimate in non-physical. And this is kind of what we are all going through here right now. Oh, can't I just have one more New Year's Eve party? Can I have one more week to just, catch up on Netflix or whatever it is that we're doing to veg, make it out to the beach in the warm weather, whatever it is. We've got to balance that material and non-material world. And Venus retrograde with Neptune is showing us why this is important. Sun's going to follow Venus and make that waning sextile as well. So how are we one more time balancing the physical and non-physical worlds? We will have Mars on January 11th in Sagittarius make a last quarter square to Neptune. That's going to happen at about 21 degrees. Mars in Sag and Neptune in Pisces. And, last quarter square, here we go. Crises in consciousness. What do I believe? How do I make sense of my world in the broadest levels possible, Neptune? And then how does that show me, Mars, where I want to put action into my life as I move forward? Mars in Sag, 1 year Mars travels with the inner planets. The next year Mars is opposing the inner planets. And right now we have Mars with the inner planets, although they're speeding up to leave Mars behind. But the year, every other year that we have Mars kind of close to the Capricorn planets, Mars is free-spirited. It wants to just go for the next party or social interaction or, great adventure somewhere. And Mars is having to kind of take into consideration then what's within our abilities to do and what is not within our abilities to do as it makes these last quarter squares to Neptune. It can bring in some frustrations because we want that freedom to do and be, and it's not happening for us. So, here's all this deep seriousness of Capricorn. Here's deep reflections with Neptune entering Pisces. Jupiter entering Pisces and squaring the nodes, bringing confusion possibly. That says deeper inner reflection. And then here is this sense of I want to be, I want to do, I want to act. And then all this comes together as we move through the months with Mercury turning retrograde January 14th at about 10 degrees Aquarius. This year we're going to have 4 Mercury retrogrades. And yes, the 4th one is going to be the tail end of the year, 22, and move over into 23. But it's been several years since we've had 4 Mercury retrogrades. And the Mercury retrogrades, as they reverse through the elements, the Mercury retrogrades are starting in air signs and they're finishing up in earth signs. Last year, the Mercury retrogrades were in air signs. All that stirring up of energy that was going on. And I'm right, you're wrong. My way, your way. Mercury moving into earth sign retrograde cycles will kind of slow things down a little bit. We might be ready for that. But Mercury retrograde, just a few days after Mars squares Neptune, can cause its own sense of frustrations, just in general. And Mercury retrograde in Aquarius one more time. Remember last year, Mercury retrograde in Aquarius in January, February? Remember us talking about the archetype of Aquarius relates to contagions, physical contagions like mutating viruses. Anybody remember that? In our little state of South Dakota, our highest rate of COVID deaths was January of 21. The second highest right, was February. This is since COVID started. During that Mercury retrograde, fully in Aquarius, January, February. Here we are. I'm on record as saying during the 2.5 years that Saturn, ruling reality, is in Aquarius, we are not going to see the finishings or ends of the virus. It will be here with us through at least 2022 with Saturn fully in Aquarius yet. And so I do believe that, as time goes by, we're going to get to the point where the virus becomes what we call endemic, where it eventually starts to be something that we can live with, that is not so tough for us in our world. It may take another year, though. We'll see how the whole Omicron turns out for us over these next few months of the winter. We have a much older population than they have in South Africa. So one of the things that I've read is that even with a younger population, they can move through it a little more robustly than we can. Time's going to tell. It is kind of raging here where we live. We don't have any mass mandates. We don't put out, we're a state that's famous for not doing anything. And so we have now had the month of December 21 being the second highest month of COVID deaths in our state. Fair amount of, fair percentage of elderly population. Stay tuned. We'll see how it turns out as we move forward. But I suspect that this Mercury retrograde in the first 10 degrees of Aquarius can be stirring things up. This month of January, Mercury's in Aquarius January 2nd through January 25th. Mercury in Aquarius January 2nd through the 25th, turning retrograde at 10 degrees on the 14th. So, if we are blessed, we will find that it rages or peaks in January, and then we'll start to ease off. Stay tuned. Again, it's not anything that is really predictable in the world of astrology in any way. Media Monk, I've got a couple more things, but could you just give a little heads up on we've got 3 webinars coming up here in the first few weeks of January. Talk about that Capricorn work.
This is just a synopsis. This is just a little synopsis of what we're going to discover in the complete 2022 forecast on January 5th. That's 6 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time, right here. Get all the details, including the webinar video, the audio files, and all the PowerPoint slides afterwards for a fair price. But you got to join the live webinar registration process January 5th. Just go on Astro News, look for an event newsletter landing in your inbox real soon. Make sure you get that synopsis or that long version, the complete 2022 forecast. That's January 5th, Wednesday. Okay, so then we also have January 12th. We're coming up with the free Pay It Forward Mercury retrograde webinar in Aquarius Capricorn. That's January 12th. The nodal axis in the Taurus-Scorpio on January 17th. So just get to the forecasting webinars page on our website and take a look at all the offerings there. It'll send you a link to get registered for the live events. You can also get the PDF that I described earlier with all the audio video links and the PowerPoint slides upon checkout. So Thanks for the research, Star Lady, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody on those forecasting webinars coming up. Until next, looks like full moon of Cancer. Oh, you want?
Did you hear me? I said I got something else to say, but I was going to give you a little time to do our housekeeping announcements.
You go ahead and finish up and close, okay?
So the other thing that's going to happen around the fact that Mercury's going to go retrograde on the 14th, and we're going to have the full moon of Cancer at 28 Capricorn Cancer on the 17th. The day after that, on January 18th, Uranus goes direct at 11 degrees Taurus, and we still have Saturn in Aquarius in orb of making a last quarter square to Uranus. Mercury literally goes retrograde just a couple of degrees shy of a conjunction with Saturn. So that full moon time period with Mercury turning stationary retrograde, we're going to feel the heaviness of the Saturn-Uranus last quarter square. They had their third square at Christmas, December 24th. We're still feeling that pretty strongly right now. Uranus stationary direct can sometimes be as surprising and or upsetting, or let's just stir the energy up a little bit. It can be as active as a Mercury retrograde. It can be more active than a Mercury retrograde. So I'll speak to this at our full moon podcast, but I just want to give everybody a little bit of a heads up that as we move into the middle of January, during that full moon time period, we've got some pretty active energy, festive, feisty energy going on. You know, it's a push-pull as we've seen Saturn in Aquarius. I want to move forward. Uranus in a Taurus. I want security. Saturn wants security. Uranus wants innovation. It is, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Capricorn, we want to be careful that it's not 1 step forward, 2 steps back, Capricorn. So there's a need to pace ourselves. And there's also a need to really pay attention to Jupiter entering Pisces and squaring the node. What is your intuition telling you? What are the intuitive hits coming through? Uranus will be full of those aha moments coming up into consciousness for us on how we are to move through this month of January. Let Jupiter make some sense with it for you. All right, so breathe deep. Watch how you're driving out there. Watch how you're moving through that physical world with all the details in the middle of the month with Mercury and Uranus changing directions. All right, thank you for listening, everyone, and we wish you all the best in the new year. And with all this Capricorn energy, may you achieve your heart's desires in this year ahead. Thank you for listening, everyone.